I'm not gonna do like a little intro thing. I'm just gonna pick up from where we left off, and we'll just start.
Dang, I'm gonna go right into it raw.
Just go right
That's
into it
cool.
raw.
Yeah.
So, kind of to jump back into what we were saying before we started the recording thing. I asked you about the whole Yami noob thing, like
Yeah.
Yami
Yeah.
Yamaha, and
And then noob, because I literally I'd started riding for 2 months. Yeah.
okay, so you started riding for two. I thought you did like the Childish Gambino thing where you put it in a Wu-Tang. I like Yamaha, and then I'm a noob or something. It just kind of combined for you.
Yeah, that would have been really funny. No, it was really like it was literally a throwaway account. I had made it because I was like, when am I ever gonna put like I'm only doing this to show my dad the video, and I was like, I don't care about this account. You know what I mean? Like it's like when you make a throwaway Gmail account. But it just stuck. But what's funny now is like I've got nearly 5 years of riding experience. I've ridden tons of stuff, and people are still like, "This guy's a noob." I'm like, well, we're all noobs, aren't we? Like that's the point, maybe.
Yeah, turn it into like, well, we all have beginners' minds. We all should keep learning, make it all educational. But in reality, it's
some
a
super
throwaway
philosophical thing.
So you said Brazil, like you started making videos to show. You said your dad, like, because they're crazy down there in Brazil. So basically,
Yeah. So in Brazil, if you don't know anything about the culture there and the community there, obviously it's a much less wealthy country than the United States. So a lot of people get 125s and 150s to get around the city and stuff. And there's also a really common kind of trope in Brazil. It's called the moto boy. And basically these are guys who are like doing like Uber deliveries and like other deliveries, and they're known for riding like really aggressively and really crazy in traffic. They'll like split through lanes and like hit mirrors and stuff. If anyone in the audience is Brazilian, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like it's the moto boy phenomenon. And yeah, like that was kind of his perception of what motorcycling was, and so he just wanted to make sure I wasn't riding like that, and that's why I put up the video.
okay. So you said you had 2 months or something about a riding experience when you got the Yamaha. Is that what you said? Something about like 2 months.
No, so the first video I posted was after about 2
Oh,
months
okay.
riding around. I felt like I was, that was to me enough experience to put up a video on the internet. But I thought it would be cool just to show my dad that, and then also like anyone else looking to get a bike. I was like, hey, like I just started out. It's not that hard, Like I'm just doing my thing, and then over time it evolved.
Oh, so you're from Brazil. Like I'm assuming that.
Yeah. I'm Brazilian. I'm from Brazil. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I learned something.
Yeah, so I'm fluent in Portuguese, grew up in the household speaking Portuguese, and my entire family is down there pretty much. I'm actually going in 12 days, going down there for a wedding. And it was funny, I put up a story on my Instagram being like, hey, like, please send me like Brazilian and Portuguese, like, podcasts and videos, because I need to brush up on my Portuguese because it's so rusty because I don't speak it as much anymore. But yeah, full-blooded Brazilian.
That's cool. I seen that you've traveled, like on your Instagram. You traveled to Europe. I think you met with Cardo in their headquarters and a few things. So
Yeah. I went out to Israel in March of last year and met up with Cardo and did a group ride down there and near the Dead Sea and stuff. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, it's a pretty unforgettable experience.
so you have no problem traveling places. Zero problem. Like you're perfectly fine
I wouldn't
flying.
say-
Yeah, like I hate international flights, so I don't know. Like I've gotten used to it at this point, but yeah, no issues doing it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've never really.
Dude, I'm interested though. Really. Oh, really? Like you've been outside. You're in Arizona, right?
Yeah, I've been to Mexico, but that doesn't count.
No, it doesn't. Gets right across the border. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where have you been in the States though?
Just mainly the West Coast. I think the furthest northwest coast I've been was middle of Oregon. In California, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico. That's pretty much it.
It's beautiful out there though, man. Like that's good. That's solid.
That's why I want to travel. I've mentioned traveling and meeting people and doing all that stuff because I've never really been.
Yeah.
So I need to head your way. Where
It's,
you?
it's
Texas
really-
area, right?
Yeah, I'm in Austin.
Okay. Yeah. That's not too far. That's not far at all.
Nah.
No.
No, well, I was gonna tell you, like we were talking, I think a couple weeks back about doing something together, and like you're in Tucson, right?
Yeah, Tucson.
Yeah, like a flight to Tucson is, I think, like not that. I think it's like 2 or 3 hours from Austin, so I think we could definitely meet up and do something like IRL.
We have Mount Lemon. We have a few places to ride that has good areas to look at and take some photos and stuff. But
Yeah. I would think one thing that would be really funny is if we did like I'd like redid my basic rider course with you, like to see if I passed. Because I can guarantee you that I'd fail parts of it. Just like, oh shit, I put my foot down here. I bet you I can't, man.
That'd be fun. We'll have you go through the basic rider course, see if you'll pass the test and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you'll do fine. I mean, you make videos on things that noobs need to know, so I figured you have some
Hopefully
research.
I can pass. Yeah.
So with the whole to go back even further, I mean, I'm looking at an email right here that my first one that I sent you was August 28th, 2016. And
dude, it was forever ago. Yeah, like a lot of people don't know that we've been in contact for years. Yeah, like on and off.
it's really crazy. I mean, I'm like 9 years. I probably had like less than 5,000 subs, and you had like 40 something at the time. I was like, hey, could you use this content? Please, here, have some of this. And
yeah, I thought it was great. I was like, dude, this guy just gave me like a free video. Like, this is amazing. I was like, I'll definitely shout him out and push some traffic over his channel. It's been great to see you grow, man.
yeah, thanks. It's been you've blown up. Like
I mean, it's funny because like sometimes I think in our little community we're like, oh shit, like you're doing really great. You look at like big picture YouTube, like we're like small fries, bro. Like these guys are copping like, some of these people copping like 3 million views a video after like the first hour or something. I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah.
You know?
So you look at all the analytics and stuff. Like that's one thing.
Yeah, I am like super deep into that.
Yeah.
You made I remember I was part of your newsletter a while back. It was I forgot what it was called, but it was basically one of those like video creators helping thing. Is like views while you snooze or something. I don't know.
I tried to do that for a little bit. Try to like help people build their YouTube channels, and I realized like it's better just to stick with bikes. Nobody really wants to learn about how to grow a YouTube channel. It's a little too niche, you know.
Yeah, it's super niche. But I mean, like, you decided to want to help other YouTubers, though. I mean, I think that's pretty cool with the knowledge that you had. Is that kind of the same stuff that you're adding to your videos now? I mean, not all of them are like, buy a turbo Busa. It's it's like here's some fun stuff that we can talk about with new riders, or even educational stuff, and like here's new bikes coming out, but then it's funny, but here's the info, but it's funny. Is that kind of what you're trying to do with the whole helping somebody else out, but bring in your own entertainment value to it? Or I mean, I'm trying to figure out why you're doing it this way.
Yeah, basically what I try to do is, I think the big mission statement of the channel is to like introduce people to bikes in a way that feels accessible, because I think a lot of times, people are not only like, let's say at the point of search at YouTube, they're looking up a bike they want to buy, they're looking up, dude, fucking pound that Rockstar, bro.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I need it. I need it.
Yeah, I just had my coffee. So I think for me, like, not only are they looking up, like, hey, I don't want an R3, I want a Ninja 400, but they're also trying to figure out, like, do I belong to this community? Can I be a motorcyclist? Like, what is this community like, And I think for us, it's like, we have a sort of responsibility with an audience to show people that, we're really accepting of anyone who wants to ride and get started. Like, one of the big things I have on my Discord server, for example, is to like massively try to make sure that no one is othered or feels like they're not part of the community. Because like, I'm sure as you've seen on the analytics, it's like 97% males, overwhelmingly, white usually.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure that, people who are maybe outside of that feel welcome in the community and feel welcome to join into motorcycling. I just want to like spread that message that it really is for everybody. Like, it's just a bicycle with a motor in it. It's not anything special. I mean, it's special, but it's not anything that's reserved for only one type of person. So anything I can do to make it more accessible and fun for everybody, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah. So I like how you said you have a mission statement, and I'm assuming that's what's driving every piece of content that you do. So, I mean, you could easily make like top 10 or bottom 10 YouTubers, motorcycle YouTubers, and that would be something easy to do, and it'd be within the entertainment thing. But it probably goes against, I'm assuming it goes against your mission statement of inclusivity. I want to bring people in. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. I have something very similar with my own set of mission statements and principles of how I do things, but you don't see that a lot. You see just people trying to ride the trends.
Dude, it's funny. The more you talk to other YouTubers, like, people are just flying by the seat of their pants. Like, I feel like a lot of guys don't have an idea of the type of content they want to make. They're just kind of posting things up because they feel like it, or they like kind of, it feels right. And there's something to be said about that, like really authentic kind of like, you know, I'm just a dude in my bedroom putting out videos. But I think also it can lead you astray if you don't have a clear vision of what you're trying to make, you know.
I think.
So what's your mission statement? Like, what are you trying to do with the channel? I'd be curious to hear.
Very similar to yours. I want people to feel inclusive. I mean, I have it's up here. It's not on my walls yet, but inclusivity. I want beginner riders to know what they're getting into based off of safety and consequences of actually riding. To me, at the end of the day, you know, driving a car is probably the better bet. I mean, I think everybody knows it's more safe, and you're going to get from point A to point B and have stuff to be able to put in the back seat or in the trunk compared to a bike. But if you want to choose to be a bike, well, now that you're in this world, let's go ahead and make it safe. Let's go ahead and make sure that you have somebody to connect with that can give you different experiences. And I'm basically, at the end of the day, trying to be that uncle that is like, hey, buddy, you know, my sister told me you want to start riding. Let's do it safely. You know, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
But everything kind of comes back to my experience as a firefighter EMT. And that's what I've seen is what I'm trying to prevent. And that's my direction. I don't want to see people get hurt at the end of the day. So
yeah. I think you have a great perspective on it being a former firefighter and EMT, that you've been, like, I think for most people, they might have had one or two crashes, or they might have seen, you know, someone be in a wreck, but like you saw this stuff like day in and day out, right? Like, you know how gnarly it can get, and it gets gnarly. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just me personally seeing stuff, and then me taking like a grandma to the hospital or something, and then I look down the next ER room, and I just see blood on the floor, people working this guy, and I'm like, what happened? A motorcycle accident. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. You don't see that with car accidents typically. So I'm like doing all
They're
that
so
stuff.
safe nowadays, man. They got the crumple zones and the airbags. Like, they're really, really safe, honestly. I mean, that's not to say you can like chuck it into a brick wall and survive, but they're pretty safe.
You could do that in a car and maybe survive. You do that on a bike, you can't at all. Yeah.
You will not. Yeah.
So with my
actually, there was a video you put out recently where you were like, just like you said, that uncle just being like trying to keep it real, where you were like, hey, this is super dangerous. And that's something we don't talk about a lot, where I love the statistic. You're like, it's 27 times more likely to be injured on a bike versus a car, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, it's the fatality, 28 times chance of having a fatality. Yeah, it's higher. I think it's 35 times for an injury. But it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, that's sobering. You know, it's sobering to think that it's like that much more risky. So I do like that you're kind of putting that realism into it, and you know that's something we try to push too. It's like, hey, like, this is a serious thing you're doing. Like, you got to be aware. You got to be, you know, focused on what you're doing, because it can get really bad really quick.
Yeah. So you, based off of my little firefighter experience and where I come from and how I produce videos, and we're both principle based. What kind of experiences do you bring? I mean, you say you're from Brazil, so you see those crazy riders, but do you have like something like you ever had a second job? You ever had a real job? Because you've been young doing this forever. Like, what have you brought? Life experiences.
Yeah. So life experiences that I'm bringing. So I ran the YouTube channel as like a side gig for quite some time. I could have taken it quote unquote full time, whatever that means, like relatively early on, but I am weirdly enough, I'm a pretty risk averse person when it comes to things like that. I feel like I put a lot of my risk into riding. As we said, it's 37 times more likely to cause fatality or whatever.
One vice. I'll have one vice.
I'll have one thing, and I'll just put all my stats into that one of them. So I ran the channel as a side gig for a long time, but I used to work in so I got an economics degree, as I joke about on my channel sometimes, and I started working as a financial analyst for this really boring travel management company. I was like, I wanted to kill myself. I was like in a spreadsheet monkey all day in like a cube, and I was like, man, this sucks. So I did that for like 6 months, and then I jumped ship to another job that was a lot of the same kind of stuff. I thought it'd be different, but it wasn't. And then I jumped to another job after that was a little bit better. I started kind of getting involved more in data analysis and that kind of stuff. Still kind of crunching numbers. It was kind of like my thing. And all the while the channel was kind of picking up and building up steam, and I was kind of keeping an eye on it, being like, hey, this could really turn into something. This could be cool. And then through 2018, I got the chance to work at 2018. I got the chance to work at a startup, which is really, really like a really good experience. I got the chance to go out to California quite a bit and kind of meet with like really, really smart people. I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you where like you're in a room and then people are talking and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I'm like not the smartest person in this room by like a country mile.
That's never happened to me at all. Never
really?
been. No, I'm just kidding. That's happened. That's happened many times, man. That happens all the time.
Yeah, so I was just surrounded by these people that I felt like were incredibly thoughtful, incredibly intelligent. I love their approaches to problem solving. And I think that experience, like, dude, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot that's helped me out in this year where I took the channel like super full time and just like really got into it. And it just taught me how to like problem solve, really. Like we used to have like these big whiteboarding sessions where we would, you know, kind of like tackle different problems. It was a real estate startup. So they were like kind of like a tech real estate company. I won't say who it was, but you could be like, if you do a Google search, you'll probably find like 4 or 5 of them and probably figure out like which one it was. But yeah, so that was really cool. And then got the chance after working at that particular startup to work at another startup as well, much smaller, similar space, but it was a lot smaller. And so the types of problems I was solving were like way bigger, like because there was only like, you know, 40 or 50 people at this company. And so the type of things we were working on, I worked in the marketing department. So we were trying to figure out like how to optimize our ads and how to make content, how to do a bunch of cool stuff, which really aligned well with what I do now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And then there was a point in 2018, it was towards the end of 2018, like the channel was starting to like really pick up some steam. I was like, holy shit, like this is like blowing up. My boss actually brought me into a room because he knew that I was like really focused on the channel. And I mean, I was about to like, it was crazy because like a month before that, like we were talking about like me being promoted. I was going to become like, you know, sort of director of this little like, you know, organization we had or whatever. And then he turned to me and he was like, hey, I think you should go do your channel full time. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I was like, are you firing me? And he was like, no, I think like you're a really thoughtful guy and I can see you have a lot of potential doing this. And I think it would be best if you just went and did that because I think you will regret it if you don't. He was like, you got a really crazy thing going on and I like, you know how unique it is. Like not many people just have, at the time it was like 250,000 subscribers on the internet. He was like, you should definitely go try it. He's like, and if it doesn't work, you're a smart guy, you can always come back to work.
Yeah.
He was like, maybe here, maybe somewhere else. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. So really, if my former boss is watching this, which he might be, I don't know, but if you are watching it, that was a really pivotal moment for me where I was like, I should just go do this. And I did.
That's pretty cool to have somebody that sees that and he's like your boss and he's like, hey, you're a bigger asset to what you're doing. I mean, you're a good asset to me, but it's like, go do that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. You don't find those people. No, typically they want to keep you. Yeah, they'll try to promote you to keep you. Is that when you decided to start adding people to your team? Because I think that's one of the biggest things like that a lot of YouTubers don't do, and I barely started doing. I barely got an accountant. Like I barely have that, and it's huge. I didn't realize how much that would help me out just having an accountant. So I can't imagine having an editor. I mean, shoot, I don't even know what you have. What do you have? Like, what kind of team do you have around you?
Yes. So I've got a full-time employee that works for me. His name is, he goes by Spite. You've seen him in the videos. He's the big guy with the beard. Has a lot more hair than I do.
Yeah, we're having that problem.
Dude, yeah, we got that problem. Like, I haven't shaved in a minute, but we got that problem.
I have my hat just in case I needed my hat, but.
Yeah, people always just chime in. It's like, oh, fucking Chrome Dome, you know, this and that. Like, and then you don't want to get self-conscious. You're like, man, shut the fuck up about my hair. But yeah, so I've got Jake. He's a full-time with me, and then I've got another guy called Nick who helps research and write a lot of the videos because a lot of the lists we do require a lot of like back-end like research about, you know, which bike is this, the price points, and all. So he helps out a lot with that. And then I've got a like sort of customer support person that helps with the website and helps with like the Discord and stuff. So she'll go in and like answer like emails that people have about like their subscriptions and all this stuff because we moved away from Patreon. We're on our own thing now on our own website.
I still need to switch to your website. I haven't done that yet.
Dude, that was like a 2-month like, oh my God, talk about like not having time, like, you know, on these calls, these developers trying to figure out our website. That was crazy. It was worth it, but that was crazy. So I got her, I've got the accountant, I've got a tax person, I got a legal person for like back end stuff. And I think that's it. as far as people who are like actually in the everyday type of stuff.
So for the difference between probably, I think back in 2016 when I emailed you versus now, has it made your life easier, or has it just flipped things around, but it's still as hard, but things are just, you see it?
Oh, it's made it phenomenally easier, because like you said, even just having the account, and once you can offload the mental load about thinking about certain things, you just free up the ability to like think about other stuff and make content and think about what it is that you're good at, you know? And I realized that like it was actually really humbling, because before I brought on my editor and the writer and the researcher, I was very precious about my content. I was like, only I can make this. Only I know how to edit these videos. Only I know how to write them. Only I can be in them. Like, it can only be me. But then, like, the first video we put out where someone else edited it and it did just as fine or even better, I was like, oh, like, I'm not special at all. Like, my ability to edit is not special in any capacity. Yeah. And it was really humbling, but also really great when I realized that. I was like, oh, cool. Like, that means that I can now pay someone else to do this, and I can focus on making even better content, you know?
Yeah.
So it's great, man. I would say whenever you're able to, get an editor, because it makes an enormous difference. An enormous difference.
That's kind of a, I mean, I feel the same way. I was like, only I know how I edit, but then I realized there's better editors. There's somebody else out there on top of freeing the time. But the hard part is finding somebody. I found somebody to do the research on some topics and wrote out something, and it actually, like, the amount of research I would have had to do, it freed up a lot of that. I mean, I still had to film it. I still had to do that. I mean, 20-minute filming turned into an 8-minute video, but it's still different, and it worked out really well. And for what like my level is, I think that's what I can do. But man, having an editor, that takes up my whole time. Like, editing just forever and ever.
I used to call it being in the dungeon, you know, where you're editing
right here.
In the literal dungeon.
Yeah. I should put chains on this fake brick wall.
That might get a little kinky.
Yeah. Oh yeah, never mind. I don't want to do that. Man. So editing, so you got a full team around you. You have to pay them. You have employees.
I do have to pay them. Yeah, I wish they fight, but I do have to pay him.
No, that's cool though. I mean, because you're responsible. I mean, you're the face, and then you're the I guess talent. Because I mean, you're reading it. Yeah. You're giving your own personality into it. I mean, how do you feel now though? I mean, like, you have that team. So I just said, you're the talent, but how do you feel? Where do you fit in that little circle? You're not the editor. You're not the researcher. You're not customer service. Like, who are you now? Yeah. I want to know, because I want to know what I have to
be. I feel like my main objective right now is to, one, be the face of the channel and the brand of the channel. I just try to present myself in the best light possible and the best, way to add to that inclusivity and that mission statement. And then two, I really feel like the people on our Patreon, our Discord, our website, that's where my biggest value is. Like, those people have very graciously opened up their wallets, their time, like, have decided to support me on this, like, next level, as opposed to just, like, watching a video or just clicking like. They've decided that they want to really commit to the channel, and I feel like it still, like, humbles me to see all those people on our Discord server, and you're in there, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I like it. It's fun in there.
Yeah. And I just want to, give most of my time to those people. And I feel like, I just try to be in there as much as possible, answering questions, being active and, in there with people, and just, letting them know that I'm a real dude and I'm here, and, you can talk to me, and I'm on the Discord server. And I feel like that's where my highest value is added.
I think that that's a huge thing. Like, it's not necessarily about my growth of my channel being community based, but the moment I stopped caring about the trends and the analytics as much, I focused on developing a community. It's just so much growth, but then at the same time, I actually get to see who I'm interacting with, not a number. And Discord made a huge difference with that. Patreon also, but are you able to focus more on the community now that you have more of a team? Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things then. Yeah, I'm just trying. I'm picking your brain, trying to figure out.
I will say, like, I had a similar thing where, I'm always mindful of analytics. I check in maybe like once or twice a week. I used to check in like every day, but now I check in like once or twice a week. just to make sure things are kind of flowing smoothly. But to your point, I really feel like when you focus less on the numbers and more on people, it makes everything so much better. It's just, I feel like the numbers and all that are a function of how much you help and give value to people, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So whatever you can do to like add to your community on your Patreon, whatever you can do to help them, like, because I feel like the people who support you on there, what would you say they're like kind of looking for? What do you think they want from you?
Yeah. I've done little polls and I've tried to figure out what they wanted, and a lot of times it's really interesting. It comes back as, I just want to support you so you keep making videos. It's like, you make what you want to make, and that's really humbling. So I mean, seeing these people, not necessarily just on Patreon, but on Discord, everywhere, they're like, man, just keep doing what you're doing. I like what you're doing, and you see that all over. But especially from the diehard people in Discord and the groups and Patreon, all that stuff. So we mentioned a little bit quickly. I bought 2 task cams because of your review back in the day about having a task cam, and this is actually, I had 3. I lost one.
You just flexing on me. I have one.
Just
do you want to see how beat up mine is? Look at this. Look at the back of this.
Oh, you had to tape it. Yeah, I had to tape mine too. These things fall off.
I got the Velcro. This has been with me through everything, dude. Everything.
That's awesome. And I bring it up not just to flex on you, because I know I have more than you, but
dude, they're different colors. You have more.
I know.
Than Damn.
I had a black one, and now I got these.
And you got the pro gaming chair too. Like, you got it all, man. Like, I gotta be like you, bro.
This was given to me from a subscriber and supporter. So I mean, they're very supportive. They saw me sitting in a chair that wasn't very comfy, and he's like, "Here, have this," and I picked it up, and I was like, "Oh wow, thanks, man."
I got a stool right now, and then behind the store is just like a shed.
So it's all
facade.
Well, yeah, this is like my little office, my little room. Still have nothing on the walls, trying to figure out what I'm doing. But I brought up the task cam thing because I tend to pick out, and it's not necessarily, if somebody's topic of the video is, this is a review or whatever, that's fine. You can see that all the time, and it kind of goes back to a lot of your list videos. But when I saw you do this, you started putting out some really practical reasons why to get it. Not necessarily, hey, buy this, it's going to make your audio better. You talked about how, you can use it for voiceovers, you can use it for this, you can use it for that. And you were like the first one to use an external audio recorder outside of the GoPro attachment. So I just saw the path that you were going, and it just reminded me of what you've been doing, man. I got these different. You got a crazy influence over people when it comes to how you talk, and I think that's really
What's funny is the task cam kind of came about out of my love of making music and audio production. So that's something I don't mention a lot on the channel, but that's probably my biggest passion in life, is just making weird sounds with different pedals and synthesizers and guitar and all that. I've been doing that for 15 years, and it's my favorite thing to do. And the task cam, I just know a lot about audio production. I was like, oh, I don't want to use the GoPro. I want to use an external one because it's going to sound way better and it's much more flexible. And it was cool that I was able to make that video and help people with it, because I feel like a lot of people use the external recorder now.
Yeah, they do, and I've been pushing it ever since I got it, and it's for the same reasons. Sounds better, it's more flexible, you have complete control over it, separate audio tracks, all these different things. But I just like the principle behind why you picked it. A lot of people just say, well, do it because this is a cool fancy thing, here's my affiliate link. You're literally like, this is why I like it, this is why you might like it, and if you don't, then cool, stick with the GoPro stuff. But it really transitions through all your videos. I see that. I really do. I mean, I know, like I said, you don't push the Turbo Boost as a beginner bike. You really, it's a joke. It's a joke, everybody. It's not something.
Guys, it's a joke.
It's a joke.
Please do not buy a regular Busa or a Turbo Boost your bike, bro.
That's not a good news. Yeah,
it's it's a joke, but I mean, all the stuff that you actually put out, you can tell your voice changes when it comes to more serious. You do the entertainment, and then there's info. Once it gets to the info, I can tell the voice change, and that's stuff I pick up, and I think a lot of people pick that up. But I just think it's cool that you have you can almost feel your body language change during your videos. in the principle base.
Well, thanks. It's funny. I've seen some comments of people being like, "Oh, he should put like a disclaimer that you shouldn't get a turbo boost as your first bike." But I'm like, I kind of think more of my audience than to put a disclaimer. I feel like, my audience has at least enough intelligence to know that that's obviously a joke and a bad idea. And like, to be honest, part of me feels like if you genuinely think getting a turbo boost is a good starter bike or an R1 or something like that, I don't think I'm going to be able to convince you otherwise.
That's a
tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
So,
and that goes back to the comments, man. I can't. I have a tough. I don't even know if I should bring it up,
dude. It was fun because you put out that video recently with talking about our stuff, the 7 things new riders do, and honestly, when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, like he's gonna roast me, like he's we messed up or something happened. I was really glad when I watched it. It wasn't like that. It was just like I thought you did a great job. You kind of went through point by point. I love the thing you said about the wheelies. You're like, I'm not even touching wheelies.
That was great.
Yeah.
But
speaking of the comments, like I normally wouldn't do this, but I liked going through the comments on your video because it was about us and just kind of like addressing some things that people were saying about the channel and the brand that I felt were like a bit unfair, and I wanted to kind of jump in there and try to ameliorate that, and I wouldn't say save my reputation, but just try to like manage my reputation in the comments a little bit, because it does get a little bit rough. Because again, like you said, some people think that the turbo boost, I'm being serious about it, or some people think that I have like, I'm too goofy to be giving serious motorcycle advice, but I like what you said, where it's like there's a place for all that stuff. The internet's a big place. Like there's a place for serious motorcycle safety stuff. There's a place for goofy motorcycle stuff. So I think, it's not a zero-sum game.
No, and the one thing I really like, and I mentioned it in the video, is the infotainment. And when I'm looking up learning models and how people are, associating certain things with their real life, and that's kind of how I want to teach. I'm really, a lot of it boils down to making it fun for them, making them want to learn. And especially as adult learning principles, I mean, they have to want it to be able to learn it. And if you can catch their attention for, let's say, a top 10 list, and you catch their attention easily for the first 5, I mean, you just taught them 5 things. I mean, even if they don't stick through it, I mean, they learn 5 things because they're having a good time. And that's what I really like about what you're doing. And you're focusing on certain things that people will look up because they're like, I want to buy an R3. What about this? What about that? And you made a list about it. And they hear the fun stuff, and then they still see some stats, but then it's fun, and we're off to the next tip. And I think that's really good. I like that. And I would like to incorporate more of that, but then I also noticed that that's your personality. And if I try to do something that's exactly like you, it's not going to work. So I just kind of stick with.
But I think you have, quite a bit of that flair to you as well. I can see there's like a nugget of like, wanting to have fun. Because you mentioned that in your rider courses that you teach, like in person, you do a lot of that more fun stuff. And I'd love to see that come through in your content more. I think that'd be really cool.
It all boils down to being still shy on camera. If you notice, I keep looking down and everything like that.
Really?
Yeah. It's
oh wow.
I have to amp up.
That.
I have to amp up. I mean, I talk a little bit about it back in my older mental health vlogs, but it really is. It's like, you're putting yourself out there. I mean, I have 130 something thousand subscribers, but I still get couple 100,000 views a month. So I mean, I feel that, I feel those eyes.
Oh yeah.
And it's rough. That's why I brought up the comment thing. It's like, man, sometimes one bad comment can just be like, oh fuck, gut punch,
Yeah.
And it's like, what do I do? Do I Streisand effect? Do I bring light to it?
Talk about it? Do you address it? Yeah.
It's like, that's tough.
One thing that's really helped me with like the negative comment stuff is it's recognizing that our monkey brains are kind of wired to think like, you see a sea of, you can see like literally hundreds of comments being like, you're the best, this was awesome, thank you so much. But you see that one bad one, you're like, why aren't you like the others? Why don't you like me? And we just want to try to convince hearts and minds. But then I also kind of take a step back and I'm like, if I only reply to the negative comments or try to like fight somebody on the internet, I'm going to look bad because then people looking at me, they see that I don't pay attention to the positive ones. I'm only going after the negative ones. So I've had to really kind of, I'll do this all the time, man. Like I'll write up a response to a negative comment and I won't hit post. I'll look at it. I'll think about it. I'll let it simmer for like a good 2-3 minutes and then I just delete the whole thing. And I just don't don't get back to them, you know? Because it's so tempting to just be like, you know, trying to rip into people because they said something negative, but it's so important, in my opinion, to not engage with those people, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, and
what do you think? I'd be curious to hear.
I feel the same way. I don't write it out. I almost want to be like, okay, I'm gonna click this little 3-button thing and hit hide user from channel, and like I'll be good. You know, I don't want to delete the comment, but I also don't want that negativity there, because going back to why I do it, I want people to feel inclusive. But then I'm also hiding people, so I'm like, I can't be doing that.
Yeah, it's tough.
So I just wait for the next 5 good comments to pop up and get rid of that one. So it's tough. It really is. On top of it, I'm trying to teach somebody how to do like a U-turn or situational awareness. And you do get those people that come in that are like, oh, you're wrong. This person said this, or I'm from this background. I'm a police officer of 47 years. I mean, they say some weird things. And they're like, I have more experience than you. I've never crashed, never died. I wear nothing but a t-shirt. And
oh, dude, those honestly, like, nothing gets under my skin more than the people who are like, I've been riding for 20 years, I've never crashed. I'm like, to me, that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? To me, that means that either you got really lucky, or it means that you know, maybe you literally just rode one time per year and you didn't crash in 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, how many miles did you put down the saddle? How many times did you put yourself in a situation like on the track or on a trail that you were pushing and having fun? Like, for me personally, this year, I probably dropped or binned my scrambler a good 7 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
trails, and I
saw that.
With it. Like, I was binning that bike left and right, and people are like, oh my God, it's so pretty, don't do that to it. I'm like, man, screw it. Like, it's my bike. Like, I'll bin it if I want to bin it. And then the other day, I low-sided the RC on the track. Like, I feel like if you are of the mind that you like riding and you like evolving with it, you're going to have some spills here and there, you know? So to me, those guys that are like, I've never crashed, I'm like, that doesn't mean anything to me, man.
Yeah, and they just, it's really weird how they say something. There's been times where I'll say something nice back to them after they say something mean like that, and they're like, oh, he responded. Oh, hey, man, I really like your stuff. It's just like this flip.
You gotta love that one, right?
Yeah. And then there's some times where I'll respond something nice, and then they want to keep it going, and I'm like, okay, then I won't say anymore. But that's kind of how I deal with them sometimes. I'll just say something nice, or they'll be like, I found somebody on a different video. I commented on somebody else's video, and they responded underneath it, and they're like, you know, if you do a crash video on this, I'll unsubscribe you. And I'm like, all right, go ahead.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. Anyways, comments are weird.
Well, I am curious though. You mentioned how, you know, somebody will chime in and say you're doing this wrong or this and that. There's a guy that I think he actually put out a bit of a response to how he used to do this a lot. I think you know him. His name is Fast Eddie.
Yeah,
I know. I don't think you guys had some kind of beef, but there was something where he was saying you were doing it wrong, or you said he was doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we could talk about that. We could talk about that. So a little back.
You're like, I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna get out of this one.
No, and it all goes back to my principles. You know, I want it to be inclusive, and I've never, even people crashing, I don't even talk bad about them. The main thing is, what can we learn from this and remove what's bad, and that's how I interact with people. But a little backstory on him. We did 2 meetups. The first meetup, I was not an MSF instructor. I was not whatever. I was just doing my videos, and I was like, man, this guy's really good, like instructor wise, and it actually motivated me to become an instructor and take a bunch of classes. So that's what the good I take out of this. The second meetup, I kind of didn't like how things were going. With the second meetup, I felt like, you know, I wasn't really supposed to be there, type of thing. And I had a little bad taste in my mouth, but nothing, I didn't say nothing, and I just kind of let it go. We're still doing our stuff. And then I made a video going up Mount Lemon, and it was a ride along with Dan and the fireman. And I was talking about how you don't need to get your knee down on these turns. It's only 35 miles an hour. The main thing is to focus on. Yeah, I mean, I was focusing on the safety part, and I actually brought up the knee down thing. I said it in the videos because MC Ryder mentioned you don't need your knee down. I was like, yeah, I agree with him. Didn't like it. Fast Lady didn't like it. And we had a little thing on private messaging, our own text messages. I left it at that. I absolutely left it at that. And then he brought it up in other videos, and I left it alone. I maybe let it slip during a live stream that mainly you don't want to do your knee down thing. I never mentioned names, but it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But recently he messaged me out of the blue, and he's like, "Man, I'm sorry, this and this and this." And what I see is personal growth on that. And I just say, "Hey,
Yeah,
man,
that's great.
I was like, just let's keep doing what we're doing. Let's grow together. We're both in the same niche, and let it go. Let's all let it go." And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all over a knee down thing. I think I don't want to speak for him, but I could kind of put myself in his shoes that maybe the ego kind of got in there, with the whole sea of positive comments type thing.
Totally, yeah.
And he's doing a good job. I mean, he's got books and everything, so whatever.
Yeah, I think he is. I'm not too familiar with his content, to be honest. I think I've watched 1 or 2 videos, but unfortunately, I've heard a lot of his stuff through the grapevine, and so I think I want to go and see like what his content's really about, so I can form a better opinion. But to me, it seems like he's doing a good job. He's very much about like low speed bike control, which I'm all about too. I think that's great to have really good control over your bike at low speeds. There was a video he put out that was confusing. I think he took an X1000 single R on like a go-kart track, and I was like, that's one way to do track day, I guess. Like that's a lot of bike for such a small track. That's the one thing that I was kind of confused by. But I think he's much more about that kind of like proper control and that kind of stuff. But yeah, back to your point about dragging knee on the street, man, I could not agree more. The more track days I've done about like 27 track days this year. I'm getting close to like expert level rider or like higher intermediate rider. I'm getting up there, yeah. But yeah, I put down a lot of miles on the track this year. But one thing that I've learned from a lot of the fast guys that they're just like, the knee down thing, it looks cool on camera, but then really when you look at like the really fast guys, they're barely ever touch a knee. They might scuff it here and there a little bit, but they're so much more focused on the line and carrying speed and throttle and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I could not agree more, especially on the street, man. Like it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, when you have cracks in the road, a rock, you hit your knee, you get your knee puck into a crack while you're trying to turn. I mean, that's just. I never thought it was something important for street riding. I thought the whole body positioning and getting the bike more upright is very good, but the whole let's get the knee down too is we don't have to do that. But yeah, no, he's doing his good stuff. I like what he does. More on what his type of content is definitely that low speed stuff. But then he's very talented. He does a lot of track days. He does a lot of supermoto days and stuff. Oh, cool, and yeah. I think where he's coming from, 'cause the conversations I've had with him is that with more experience, you have that little section like from the bottom up where you actually use on street. It's good to have all these extra tools. And I think he's just going out grabbing different tools and then showing his viewers. So I think that's beneficial. He does his thing. Absolutely. I'm not as good rider as him, so I'm not going to even try. It's kind of like with
I've seen some of his videos doing like the crazy parking lot. I'm like, I could never do that. Like I know I can't, but I think it's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, kudos to him. Just like with your entertainment thing, I can't mimic your personality. I'm not going to mimic his expert riding skills. I'm going to find what I'm at. So you said 27 track days. I'm interested in that. 27 track days?
Yeah, about 27.
All the same track or different tracks or
No, this year, so I probably rode on 5 different tracks, and I did the California Superbike School, which was really cool. I learned a lot there. And I've got 2 memberships at 2 local tracks here. So it's up at Eagles Canyon Raceway in Decatur and then Harris Hill Raceway here in Austin. If anyone's local, they'll know what those are. But and then I did a day at Road Atlanta with a couple of my guys from the Discord server. They brought out a couple bikes. We did if you Road Atlanta, could not recommend it highly enough. Easily one of the most fun tracks that I've ever been on. It just connects really, really well, and you get like a really good sense of pace through it. It always feels like you're flying through corners, even though like it was my first time there. I wasn't going super fast, but it has this sensation between the elevation changes and the way the corners like link together that you feel like you're just hauling all this kind of ass. It's a lot of fun. And then the back straight's like literally, it's not as big as Coda, but the back straight at Road Atlanta is enormous. And I was on an RC8R, the KTM Superbike, if you know it.
A little bit. That's the thing is you know more about bikes with all your research. I just know helmets and stuff.
Yeah, so the KTM RC8R is it was KTM's kind of like super bike that they made. So it's got this big like 1190cc V twin. You can kind of think of it as like a super analog like Ducati Panigale from like the last generation before they made the V4s. So it's got like ass loads of torque, like no electronics. It's crazy lightweight, and so it flicks in super quick. And then on the back straight, I think I hit probably like a good 160 on it. It's like a lot of fun.
Holy shit.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a sweet bike, man. But yeah, so I did Road Atlanta, and then I just, being a member at these 2 tracks, I can just go at my leisure and kind of hit them up whenever they have an open day and just get some laps in. So that's kind of where a lot of that number came from, is just going and doing member days.
Okay. Part of that 27, is any of it like a class, like instructor led? Like, I don't know how track days work, honestly. I kind of had an idea by wanting to register, but I have never been to one. So.
Oh, you've never done one?
Nope, never done one. I want to take my FTR out, the big old heavy FTR.
Go, hell yeah, you gotta go. I saw a guy the other day at Eagles Canyon doing it on a KLR 650.
Hell yeah!
Any bike goes, man. Any bike goes.
That's awesome.
So for your first one, if you do it with an organization, they'll do like classroom sessions and kind of teach you what things to look for. They'll kind of tell you like, hey, these are your reference points. It's similar to street riding, right? It's like you're looking for your apexes, you're looking for your reference points, your turn-in points, you're looking for, smooth throttle, good body position, and just kind of like going with the flow of the track, and then you'll pick up the pace eventually. But yeah, so your first session or your first day, you can do it through like Ride Smart, or I'm trying to think of what the organization would be out near you.
There's probably one.
Yamaha Champion School's near me, kind of.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be a great choice.
Awesome.
And so they'll teach a lot of that stuff, but then as you get more advanced, if you become like a member at a track or something like that, you can kind of just show up and then like go with like other members and kind of like run the day, and you get to start working on your own personal stuff. But if you want to get like super good, I would recommend getting an instructor and like really doing a lot of classroom.
Okay. Out of those 27 days and stuff, how does that feel when it translates to street? Like, do you feel like you're just going to like a shooting range? Like, you're going to a shooting range. How does that translate to actually shooting a person if you had to in self-defense?
Yeah.
Like, how does track?
Because I shoot, because, well, between you and me, I shoot people all the time.
Oh, okay. So you're an expert at this. So translate it. No. You hear sirens in your background. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah. FBI's like, stay where you are, right?
They join the conversation here.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, for me, riding on the street after doing all those track days, it I don't know, it just makes me like super chill on the street, because like I feel like I know how far you can push a bike, really. Like, you can go really damn fast on the track and like really lean that thing over. And on the street, it much probably like how you teach your audience, it's like you just start seeing all these obstacles on like, there's no runoff, there's trees everywhere, there's cars, there's cracks, there's imperfections, and it just makes you want to take it a lot more slowly. I used to ride on the street way faster before I started doing so many track days than I do now. I feel like now I ride ridiculously chill on the street, because there's nowhere to really have like a lot of fun. So that's kind of how it translates for me.
Okay, so like it's so much more fun on the track that riding street is boring. I got it. I'm just kidding. But
I mean, you're not wrong. That's kind of how I view it. I kind of only ride on the street now to like, go and make a video with one of the giveaway bikes or make a quick vlog. Most of my time is spent on track, really.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool then, because a lot of people think that if you go to the track, you're gonna get all these extra tools and all this speed. You know how fast your bike can go. Then you're just gonna do it on the street. But you're saying that you're like, well, the track is really nice, and I can push the limits there, but not do it here, because man, I don't want to go that fast on this.
Absolutely. Yeah, because once you start pushing on track, you'll have situations where you might run a little bit wide, or like for example, like when I low sided the RC, if I had done that on the street, that bike would have been shot out into opposing traffic. I would have probably hit a guardrail. I would probably hit a tree. So it just makes you a lot more situationally aware when you're on the street, I would say.
Okay. Have you
Dude,
taken?
You gotta go now. I can't believe you've never done one.
I know. I've never done one. I want to do one. There's the Champion Riding School. They do have track instructor led stuff, and they're like the best. So I definitely want to do that. Yeah, I definitely want to. Max Riss was actually down here in Tucson, or I guess we have a track down here. I didn't even know that. But he was out doing his thing, and I saw a video of him on Mount Lemmon hauling ass, and I'm like, dude, I know that's a 35-mile-an-hour road, and there's an asshole sheriff up there. So I don't know if you got a ticket or not. Probably didn't post it, but yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there. I mean, That's what I see, and that's what I think of when somebody wants to do a track day. They do that on the road too, with their expertise now.
Yeah, I would really, if anyone's watching this and has not done a track day or anything like that, I would really encourage you to not take those skills that you learn on the track and apply them to the street, because they don't really translate, and it's very different. Because that's how you get in trouble, I think.
Yeah. So do you take the mental aspect though? You're taking the, well, this is kind of where I can turn in safely, and this is how I can keep my bike more upright. My braking skills are here because of all this. Do you take, like, what's one massive physical skill that you might take? Like
I'd say vision.
Vision? Okay.
100% vision. The biggest thing that I've learned in doing all this stuff is vision is everything. The further out you keep looking, the slower everything kind of becomes, and the simpler everything becomes. And on track, you're always looking for that next reference point, that next apex, and that really works well on street. If you're constantly looking as far out as you possibly can, nothing's going to be that big of a surprise to you. You might see a car that's slightly pulling out of some neighborhood, like a good 300 yards away. You already know it's happening. You're already aware of it, as opposed to when you get there and then you're like, oh shit, and you panic brake and then something happens.
I agree with that. That's what I've been saying this whole time. The whole having your mindset right, having good perception, field of view, all those fancy terms that I use in class. But yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm glad that you're not taking these. I'm so much better now because of the track. I'll take these physical skills and haul ass on the street. I think that's
Dude, no way.
The wrong thing to do. It's almost impossible, like you said, with all the cracks, with the cars, and bad everything. It's almost impossible.
I think it's also a factor of just getting older too. You approach risk differently, and for me, the risk of something happening on the street it's just not worth it. I just feel like it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Well, I have a family, so to me, it's like if I crash, I don't want that. Do you have a special anything in your life outside of motovlog, or not motovlog? You don't do that anymore. I remember you used to motovlog.
I still motovlog. I put up a couple videos every now and then on the bike.
Yeah, but it's the list videos. Do you have anything like that's making sure that you're staying safe, not necessarily someone special, but I mean,
yeah, I think for me it's my family, like you said. I don't have like a wife and kids and stuff like that, but I do have like a brother and an uncle and a bunch of people who care very deeply about me and who have been there for me when I've gotten into trouble in the past. And I don't want to subject them to that again. And I feel like subjecting them to me losing my life would be terrible. And so that keeps me in check, thinking about those people.
Well, I'm glad you're on the desert sled crashing it. So,
dude, yeah, I've been that bike constantly.
That's awesome. I saw when you first took it out, you're like, should I take this out on this dirt road? I'm like, yes, go take it out. Because I remember taking my Harley off road, and you actually have a bike that's purpose built for that. So,
well, I loved seeing that video that you put out because you do the crash reviews, right? And I love the one you did of your own. Where you're like, look at this moron riding his Harley out in the middle of nowhere, scrambling it.
People were pissed.
At least he's wearing foot protection, but look how he bended into this bush. I thought that wreck was great, man. I was like, this is hilarious.
People were pissed. They're like, oh, you never talk crap. Why are you talking crap about this guy? And I'm like, it's me. I'll just type it's me.
It's me,
yeah. I'm sure you've done something similar on your it's a desert sled, right? Or is it just the normal sled?
Yeah, it's a desert sled, yeah.
Okay.
So I always have to like stand in for it and put up the good fight. So it's a little more off-road specific than the regular scrambler. So it's got like the long travel suspension and the 20 or the 19-inch wheels and the skid plate and the extended frame. It's got it's pretty capable. It's no dirt bike. Like it
still weighs like 430 pounds. It's still huge, but it can do some stuff.
Yeah. So that's like your now thing, right? That's your bike. You don't have.
Yeah.
Wait, what bikes do you have?
That's.
Outside of beginner bikes that you give out.
Yeah, so we got the 3 bikes we're giving away right now. I won't count those, but my personal bikes that I'm not giving away. I got the KTM RC390 for the track bike here at Harris Hill. Then I've got the Desert Sled is kind of like my personal bike that I have. And then I've got the 675R. That's the other track bike at Eagles Canyon.
Okay, so you straight up went like, you know what? I got track bikes, and then I got a bike that I'm going to screw around on and have fun.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I don't know why I chose an expensive ass Ducati to screw around on and crash, but like that's perhaps a topic for another time because I make bad decisions.
No, that's cool. Have you ever thought about because you got a team around your list videos type stuff? Do you ever think about getting a team around you to do like Saturday scrambler stuff like I used to, where you go out and you have like maybe a drone pilot, following you. Anything like that outside of?
So I'll clue you in on a little hint, because I know that we're way into this and not many people will see it, so it'll be okay. So it won't be.
I'll just highlight it. I'll make a highlight.
So I am picking up in, I think, a week or two at the most, what I'm calling the Yaminoob Corporate Hayabusa. So I'm buying a Hayabusa literally just for the memes and shits and giggles. Just have fun with it. And that's going to kind of be like the bike we're going to start featuring and making that kind of content around. Because now I've got Spite doing it full time, so he can come with me and like film some B-roll and shots off the bike and stuff. So we're gonna have a lot of fun with that bike.
Oh my! Are you gonna get like custom like ghost paint where it's like changes colors in the sun?
Bro, it's gonna be the most Busa of
Busas that you can imagine.
Are you gonna stretch it out and get a longer tail end? Are you?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna put a nice piece of plywood and stretch it with that, and then the underglow kit.
That's freaking funny. I'm glad you're finally getting one.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. He's actually working on an all-over wrap that we're gonna do with like my face, because I'm a horrible narcissist.
So
I took a bunch of photos of my face making a bunch of stupid goofy faces, and we're have like an all-over print of like my face on the bike. It's gonna be funny, man. It's gonna be great.
There's gonna be people taking that seriously, thinking that that's what they have to do for a big bike. You need to put a disclaimer before every Hayabusa video you make now. That's what the comments say. So.
Yeah, I gotta put a disclaimer and be like, if you are a double-digit IQ person, please read this carefully. This is a joke. This is a joke. This is a freaking joke.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. So that like, is that your dream bike? I mean, outside of memes.
I have to, like, oh my god, no.
Like I wanna say that so clearly that like the Hayabusa is just a meme. Like, I think it's funny. It's not my dream bike. Like, oh my god.
You probably dream about it.
But I'm gonna lean into it. I'll be like, like who doesn't, right? Like,
that's so ridiculous. Well, then what is like? The typical. Here's a motovlogger asking another person, like, what's your dream bike? Like, what is it? The bike that?
Oh man, there's so many. I think top of list for me. This is a bike I've wanted for so long. Do you know about the Honda CBX?
Mm-hmm. I know the CMX is the Rebel, but the CBX is, I don't know.
So the CBX is a bike they made in the 70s. Yeah, you can look it up. It's a bike they made in the 70s and the 80s, I believe. And it featured I think a 1050cc inline 6-cylinder.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of headers. There's a lot of...
Yeah.
And I literally only want that bike because of the sound that it makes. Once I found out about it, it sounds so cool. It probably rides like ass because it was made in the 70s and the suspension's probably garbage and it probably doesn't handle very well. It's not a modern bike, but to me that's a bike I've wanted for forever. What else? Ducati 916 for sure.
Okay.
As a proud Ducatista that I am now, I just think it's one of the prettiest old school Ducatis made. So that's definitely another one. What about you? What's one of your dream bikes? Tell me.
Dude, I got it. I was waiting for the Indian FTR 1200 since seeing the 750 out on the track. And I've been talking about it for a long time. And I took my bike off-road with the Saturday Scrambler thing. And I was like, man, I really want a bike that looks like my bike, but is more purpose-driven for off-roading type thing. And they came out with this. And it's more for fire roads and dirt roads, not necessarily off-roading. But But I liked it. And I was going to get the Desert Sled. I really was going to get that. But I was like, man, I want a 1200 because I also want to ride around town and have my 1200, which at the end of the day, when I think about it, 1200 doesn't mean anything really.
Your first ride video with the Indian was amazing because you were just so giddy. Like I could tell just how like absolutely like unbelievably exalted you were by being on that bike. So
I haven't felt that way. Yeah, I haven't felt that way about any bike. So, other than that one, and then I guess the Indian Challenger, the new Challenger, the bagger bike that they have, that'd be something that I'd want to get for long distance or taking my wife around. But whenever I think of like what's my favorite bike, I think of what I'm going to use it for. Then that's where I go. I don't really pick like some useless bike like a Hayabusa or something, but
it is pretty useless, yeah.
Well, I guess for me as well, like much like your Indian, like the 675R for me is one of my like all-time favorites.
Do you get giddy like
third
that?
one.
I've owned, so I must love it. Yeah. Yeah, man. Every time I get on it, I'm just like, this is the best bike. This is the greatest thing in the world. It makes the best sound. It handles the best. I love it. I love that bike.
Awesome. Well, we all need a bike like that. I think if somebody gets a
Absolutely.
bike and they don't like it, it's like, it's time to get a different one or change it up.
Yeah.
What I was gonna ask you actually. So what did you start out on, and when did you start out? I actually don't know that.
November 2011, I started out on that Harley. Like I went to the dealership. My buddy had an '08 Sportster, and I went to the dealership. I was like, I want to get one like him, and I literally got it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an endorsement. I've never ridden a motorcycle before. I've only sat
wow.
on. Yeah, I don't even think I sat on the bike until I bought it. Like, I just want this. It was so stupid. Should never do that. Nobody should ever do that. Go to a Harley dealership and say, I want to buy one. So I had it trailered to the house.
They sold it to you? Oh, they trailered it to you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they were going to let me ride it. But,
wow.
Yeah. I think it was just because I had my my driver's license and all that stuff. So, I mean, I didn't. Long story short, I just like, no.
Did you have a beard at that time?
No. See, that's.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I had a mustache.
No, I was gonna say because with the power of the beard of some sort of facial hair, they're probably like, nah, he's good. He's good for it. He'll be
Yeah. No, I definitely wasn't good for it. They trailered it home, and that night though, like it was at night. I finally got home at night, and bike was there at night. I rode around the neighborhood, because I already knew how to drive stick shift from a truck. So I was like, okay, well, it's just flipping the hands and feet. So I did that. Did 30, 40 miles inside the little cul-de-sac area. Like
wow.
I was just constantly going back and forth practicing, and that's kind of how I started. And I was like a lot of new riders out there, and this is kind of why I do what I do, is because I just got a helmet, and I didn't even get gloves. I just wore regular clothes, and I started seeing accidents, so I started adding more and more. Then now training, and then I'm like, okay, I'll talk about this, and that's how I started. So 2011, the very end of 2011. Yeah, that's when I started.
So you had that Harley, and then you had that bike. Just pretty much that was the only bike, or did you?
That was my bike up until this, I think, May. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I had the bike for a long time. Yeah.
Well, now it's your partner's wife, right? It's your wife's bike. Did you?
No,
or did you get another bike?
I got her a bike. I traded mine in for the FTR, and I got her a Rebel 500, and so she rides that. Yeah, it's a great bike. Absolutely love it. That's why I keep saying it's a good beginner bike, low seat height, good mid controls. I mean, you can waddle around on that thing. What seven noobs do? They waddle.
With it,
they waddle around. Yeah,
they do.
I didn't want to get you that scary feeling of, oh crap, what'd he do when I make a video? I definitely didn't want. I was like, no, I don't want that. Maybe it came off. Maybe the thumbnail where I put wait what, and I'm looking at you. Maybe that's what it was, but.
Yeah, well, I think it's because I have PTSD, because anytime someone makes a video about me, it's normally negative. I think that's just my own bias, so I think but that's getting better over time. Like, I feel like now people that make videos about me are generally more positive or kind of more neutral. But for a while there, it was like pretty much only negative. And so I was like, okay, what do we do now? But I was glad to see it was different.
Yeah, I don't want you to feel like that. The whole point of my video is mainly just to, like, you're the info, or I mean, you're the entertainment with a little info, and I notice a lot of people, not a little info, you have info, but I'm more so info and then a little bit entertainment. So I just try to complement a little bit, because you can only go so much before. I mean, you could stay on one tip for like 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes, and you give everybody all the information, but then they're out of it. They don't even want to see the next 6. So I see how you jump more, and I just kind of did the same thing, but flipped it where I talked a little bit more info with a little bit of entertainment. So that's what I do. I don't dog anybody or anything like that. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, no, I think you did a really good job, even on the crash videos where someone like very clearly did something wrong or silly. Like, you're pretty nice to them. You're pretty forgiving of what they've done, like, which I think is great. Like, there's no need to like bully someone on the internet for something silly they did, you know.
And that really comes with the influence.
There was one video I saw where the dude, like, I think he crashed, and then like he got on top of the car and like kicked the windscreen, right? I think I saw that one.
Yeah.
Like, what is this guy doing? And he was wearing like the Yeezys as well. I was like, there's so much wrong in this video, man.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Wow, bro.
I covered that in a live stream, and I decided to make an actual video of it. And I knew already from the live stream it was going to get copyright claim from like Viral Hog or something. So I talked about it. But man, yeah, he kicks the windshield. It's right in front of a police station. He's wearing Yeezys. He just got the boot off his bike.
Unbelievable.
That to me, it's like I could totally crap on this guy. But
it's amazing you didn't.
People were pissed.
I was watching and I was like, dude, how is he so forgiving? Like, wow, like you're on like some Zen level, like master. I was like, wow, he's so nice to this guy. I thought it was great.
I try. And it goes back to those comments, you know, like I don't like that one bad comment. Why would I make a video? And then on top of that, I actually had to delete a few videos because my first few, because I didn't put in the description where the original link was. I didn't put originally a disclaimer saying, hey, I'm going to be checking your comments on this video. If you say anything derogatory, I'm going to remove you from my channel. But I had people going to their channel saying bad things and then saying that they're from here, from my channel. So then they email me saying, hey, I'm going to copyright strike you if you don't take this down because of that.
Yeah.
So there is that influence that we have on our viewers, whether...
Yeah.
The thing is, I want to influence them to be nice, but then you still have those people that do what they want to do, and it sucks.
Yeah.
I try to tell people so much where it's like, hey, well, first of all, I try to not link to anybody that I'm not promoting a positive message about, because it's like you said, for some reason, a lot of people's gut reaction is to like go to the content and kind of just start saying really nasty things, which is really unfortunate. And I never want that to happen. So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're being mindful of that.
Yeah. And with the whole Zen thing, I guess, it's from the comment thing, but then it's also from the firefighting. It's the whole after action report review. And we would actually watch firefighters fall through roofs. And then, from that footage that 3 of them died and the other one got severely burned.
Shit.
So we'd watch it and be like, okay, why did this roof collapse? What was the scenario? What was the setting? It was 10 minutes after the fire started, so it's already in the attic. So it's tile roof. They were standing, all 3, 4 of them were in one spot. So you learn from it, and then new policies, new standards come from that. So that's what I'm trying to bring to my audience is like, hey, we're watching these people crash. It's first-person view sometimes, so it's actually you can kind of relate to it. And this is why it crashed. And let's take away the fact they're doing a wheelie. Let's grab what that they lost traction. So why did they lose traction? Here's how traction works.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I took from my fire and EMS background. And a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want to. It's the whole culture of those big channels of the crash compilations of let's talk crap about these people and laugh at them. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's the easy way out. That's the easy thing is to just pull up something and just make fun of it and just rip someone apart. It's much more difficult to be positive and to try to pull something positive out of that video. So I think you're doing a great job with that.
Yeah.
Thanks. And at the end of the day, it's like your reputation too. So I mean, I'm sure you don't want to be known for that. Like if you started ripping on people with top 10, top 5 lists of crappy drivers and why they're crappy, then you'll be known for that. And your community that you've built up is just going to be like, all right, I'm not here for that. And then now you have this toxic community that supports you. It's like, so I that's why I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing with the entertainment and info and focusing only on specific topics that will help somebody in some way and not take away from somebody. So that's pretty cool. I like that. That's why I've been supportive since August 28th, 2016 at 7:24 p.m. or a.m. That's when I sent that email. That's cool. Well,
let me ask you this: what besides the kind of crash review content, what else are you kind of thinking about making?
2020. I'm sure 2020 for you has like this nice list of ideas that you want to push out, and I kind of want to do the same. I do take cues from different YouTubers and especially you. Because I've asked about your website and all that stuff. I'm actually in the process of building a website, motorcycle training concepts, and my main thing there is like, what is it that other people aren't doing that I think would benefit riders? And I want to develop e-courses for them, relatively inexpensive compared to crazy classes for $300. But I want it that's something that they can use. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You just keep rotating your ideas and finding different ways to deliver them. But that and
man, you know what would be super crazy is if you could figure out a way to make like some sort of like app-based motorcycle training thing that's like a supplement to like the MSF or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like nothing's ever going to replace, someone being there in person and teaching you. But if you could get someone to like, hey, put up your phone in this location and like make a quick little video of you doing like a U-turn, and then like you'll get reviewed by someone. It's obviously it doesn't scale very well. It's a little labor intensive, but I think if you could maybe figure out some way for that to be powered by a machine would be cool. I think that would be super, super cool.
Or just make it to where it doesn't scale very well, but then make it very exclusive, I guess, where you just only bring in 10 people for a 6-week training session. I've thought of that from my personal training background. So before I started making YouTube videos on motorcycling, I was actually a power lifter and was a personal trainer.
Shit, cool.
So I see from the fitness industry on Instagram, how they are creating workout plans and these apps. So that's something that I thought about. I definitely don't have the expertise, so this is where hiring somebody with it would be beneficial.
Yeah.
I just got a VR headset, and while I'm doing the Beat Saber thing, it sounds weird, but I'm relating it back to motorcycling. The farther you see ahead, the better reaction time you have. So I'm thinking to myself, man, is there something that I could can I make a VR game where somebody's on a motorcycle and then just
you
have
really
shit
could.
pop
I've actually
up?
played
that Beat Saber game, and if I remember correctly, you have like the two little batons,
Yeah.
two little VR headsets. You could easily just flip those, and then boom, that's a throttle, that's your other handlebar, and it could be like someone's primer into motorcycling. So if you can figure that out, that would be sick.
With directional sound, so like you're coming up to a stoplight, you hear some screeching behind you with the directional sound. You can you kind of do this, and I have all these different ideas. Definitely don't have all the resources for them, but I completely agree with you. You can't replace in-person physical kinesthetic touch of a motorcycle and riding. So everything I do is to complement that. And I have to deal with copyright issues and stuff because I am an MSF rider coach. So I can't take their stuff and make content, especially for my website and all that. So I have to figure out how I'm doing things. But yeah, I definitely for 2020, I want to just go back to being an influencer, I guess. That's a disgusting word, I think, sometimes.
Oh, it's such a bad word, isn't it?
I prefer content creator and
me too.
with a following, I guess. But I want to focus back on that because I think I strayed away a little bit too much and wanted to be more of an instructor. And I want to go back to being a personality because I feel like there's that disconnect. But yeah, so this year I'm going to be doing that. I'm focusing on just the community itself. I don't care about any of the other stuff now.
I think a lot of people are kind of getting to that point. I actually watched Chase on Two Wheels, 2019 year in review video, or he calls it his radio silence. He'll put out a video and then be like, oh, I'm going to go away for a little bit. And he was talking about that too. He's like, I felt like, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm paraphrasing from the video. He was like, I feel like I spent a lot of time this year worrying about numbers and the shows and the giveaways and all that stuff we're working on. I feel like I didn't put enough of myself into this. And he was like, for 2020, I just want to have fun. I just want to enjoy myself and make content. And I really resonated with that. I was like, dude, that's what I'm trying to do. I just want to, put out content that I feel proud about and have fun again. Not to say that I haven't been having fun. I've been having a lot of fun, but I feel like when it comes to the videos, we've been really kind of trying to make them as big as possible, as many views as possible. And I think that injecting more of that fun and energy back into it will yield better results for the audience.
They see that. They definitely see that. They know that you're having fun, and then they're having fun with it. And I've noticed that with some of my videos where I try something new. I'm constantly trying something new on delivery and topic. And if it's a topic that I'm like, oh, I'm okay at it, and I'll do it, and I see how it's not working as well. Less comments, maybe the same amount of views, but the engagement's different. And then it dies after 2-3 days compared to the evergreen content. Yeah. Back to Chase on Two Wheels, man. There's some old school, I guess old school, moto vloggers that are still around. But then I kind of look around and I'm like, the people that I used to watch are just gone. And I'm like, how do I have more views than these guys when they've been around this? It baffles me a little bit. And I think that's why I really like the fact you got a team, because it's not just I'm doing this, and then if I burn out, then my channel's dead. Like if you're just like, I'm gonna take a 2-week vacation and feel okay about it because I have a team that's setting things up for me. I honestly think that's how you survive.
Absolutely. It is fascinating though, to your point. There's like a lot of guys that used to like do the motovlog stuff and just, you know, I don't really like, I personally, I don't know why they're completely gone.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
There's probably like a lot of reasons behind it, and I'm sure if we dug in, we could probably figure it out. But I think like just to kind of, you know, armchair speculation here, I really think that it's like maybe the audience just outgrew the content they were making and they kept making the same stuff over and over again. And then, you know, people are like, well, I've kind of seen you do this. It's time to move on. And also to your point about the evergreen content, I'm really glad you brought that up because that's something that I'm always thinking about where I'm like, the video we're putting out, you know, is this going to get views a year from now, 2 years from now? Or is it just going to be a flash in the pan? Because for me, it's so much more beneficial to put out a video that, you know, maybe it gets, you know, 30, 40,000 views in the first week, but is going to accumulate views over a lifetime.
Yeah.
I think
that's where your videos do really well because, like, you know, motorcycle safety is never going to go out of style. It's never. If someone's interested in that, they're always going to check it out. You know.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm going back to some more of the not list videos, but the tip videos, and then doing a few of the after action reviews every week. Because I did notice. I mean, I experimented with it. It's like I got a lot of views doing it 5 days a week. But then I'd look back at the videos and it's like, well, they're dead now. It's just that one interest of that day. And I do agree with the evergreen stuff. It's like, that's your foundation. And then now you can add in some fun stuff that you know is not going to do very well, but it's the community really wanted you to do it. But then you're okay because you have, you know, a video from 2 years ago still getting like 30 views a day or an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed people just kind of die out. And I agree with the people get tired of it. That's kind of where I was talking about with the crash videos. They got tired of it, seeing it every day. So now it's okay to see it every so often, but then let's move on and rotate how we do things. And for some reason, tip or list videos, they've stayed. They're constantly good. Like
Dude, I don't know what it is about ranking things in numerical fashion, but it just seems to really work. And it's just we just keep making them because people watch them, you know.
That's the thing. Is like you found it. Like I don't think it's ever really died since you started doing it. And there's been like
not really
20 different things I've tried that each one's died every quarter, and I have to keep trying new things. So now I'm going back. I mean, I've done 3 years worth of 20 different things. Now it's like, okay, now let's go back to the first one I tried, and like that one works now again. You know, so it's like almost I have a 3-year plan of just constantly going back and forth, using what works.
Are you allowed to film whenever you do the MSF classes or the rider courses, or no?
I can film. So I work with riders on MTC down here in Tucson, and I'm friends with the owners, and they're like, go film, do it. Come over here when we're teaching and film. I think that where it gets a little sketchy is that if I utilize or I film verbatim stuff, you know, the MSF has in their range cards or in class. So, I mean, I can take snippets, but I'm currently working with or engaged with some of the people higher up in the MSF, seeing what I could do. I'm trying, man. I'm finding where my niche lies, and I think diving into that influencer, and that's what they want to call us, but really diving into, this is my audience. I do have some type of respect when it comes to my voice, and how do I use that? And I want to use that for good. So I think they recognize that. Progressive and all of them recognize it.
No, I think you got to keep experimenting with it. I'm glad to see that you keep trying new stuff. I think the crash review videos have been, correct me if I'm wrong, like one of the most successful things that you've put on the channel, right? Like I've seen you racking up some good views from those.
Yeah, it went from, and then it came back down just because people got tired of it. But yeah, it doubled. Yeah. It almost tripled my views, and that's good because that means there's more eyes on a safety topic, and that's all I cared about. So, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe if you do them like maybe once or twice a week, that's kind of the golden ratio for it or something like that. But those have been some of the best for me that you've put out, honestly. Like I really like those. Yeah.
Cool. I'm trying to figure out how to make them work and seems like they're working. So I'll keep doing.
Yeah.
Where did you? I was gonna ask totally random question. Where'd you get that sleek Discord hoodie that you have?
Oh, you have to be Discord partnered. You have to be partnered with them.
How do you do that?
You have to. I forgot how to do it, but it's like 1,000 members in your thing, over 100,000 YouTube. You could probably apply for it. If you apply for Discord partnership, you'll probably get it, and then you get a. This is like the trophy you get for it. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah, go do it, man.
Nice.
You got a pretty cool server. You got a lot of people in there, so.
That hoodie looks cool as hell. Yeah, I want it.
Heck yeah. I'm not wearing it because here plug in my Discord server, but yeah, I actually am.
No, it's just like the Chazz cams. You're just flexing. You're just like, look at my cool ass hoodie and.
You want to see all my rock form mounts that I have?
I'll show you all the Ridge wallets I have.
Can you send me a Manscaped razor or something? I would love to have one.
Yeah, I'll send one used. It'll be higher in value.
Oh, sweet. I'll never use it then. I'll just put it on my wall back here, my bare wall. Yep. Yeah, it's you could easily do that, dude. The Discord server. I think it's really cool to have. I mean, yeah, it's a Discord server. So I like yours. Yours is fun. They're all pretty. Yeah. They're all sarcastic and snarky in there, but you can tell that they don't mean it. So yeah. Cool, man.